Drivers delayed. Right now on the National Weather Desk, drivers delayed. What's behind all these trucks parked on the side of a major highway?
Driving on the ice and snow is not really safe with the trucks.
Surprise snow? Why it can be snowing even when the temperature is above freezing.
Well, it has everything to do with what's happening 500 to 1,000 feet above his home.
Tornado Alley, the nation's top has changed.
That one spot in the state was leading the entire nation in tornado watches and warnings.
We'll give you a unique bird's eye view of Hawaii's lava flow.
It's molten rock flowing like water.
And aren't DC's cherry blossoms supposed to bloom in the spring?
Kind of a secret, sort of a special thing to find on the mall.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
And a very good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Brian Vandegraff. Well, it's going to be a couple of wet days across the south and heavy rains with the threat of flash flooding will continue all the way through the end of the week. With more on what we can expect, we turn to meteorologist Ryan Coulter in our Asheville, North Carolina station.
More wet weather is taking aim on parts of the South. Showers already falling across parts of the Carolinas and into the Tennessee Valley. And it's the start of what is going to be another wet day for many. We have that frontal boundary bringing some moisture up from the south and then blocking cold front off towards the north. And here's how it plays out for us on Futurecast today. You'll notice those showers moving into the Virginias, heavy rain from Bristol off towards Roanoke. And then as we head towards tonight, some drier air works in. That's only temporary. A batch of showers moves in for the middle of the week. And this is what we're really going to have to keep our eyes on with growing flooding threats tomorrow from Tennessee into Kentucky and then parts of the Carolinas and Virginias. Here's that flooding risk. Rainfall totals 1 to 2 inches of rain. Areas in red could pick up as much as 3 inches of rain into Thursday morning.
And from rain showers to tropical activity, yes, the National Hurricane Center is tracking a wave of low pressure in the southwestern Atlantic. It's a disturbance they're going to be keeping a close eye on that could become tropical or subtropical over the next couple of days. Now, technically, the hurricane season is over November 30th. This has about a 40 to 50% chance of development over the next couple of days. How rare is this? Well, we've seen about 13 since the 19th century. Our last occurrence was back in December of 2013. It was unnamed. Our last named, Olga, was back in December 2006. We'll be keeping a close eye. One of the West Coast major trucking routes is open again after a shutdown that lasted about 7 hours. Winter weather conditions made travel unsafe and led California's transportation to close parts of Interstate 5 north of Redding. It led to miles of semi-trucks waiting on highway shoulders and its surrounding gas stations. Truckers and business owners alike have had a little bit of advice about what truckers should do, whether you're traveling along I-5 or anywhere across the nation. Let's go to Redding now for the latest with Mason Carroll.
Driving on the ice and snow is not really safe with the trucks because you could jackknife. That's probably what's happening up there right now.
I-5 being shut down not only impacts the truckers who have to wait on the side of the road for hours and get paid by their delivery, but also impacts the goods that are being transported across the state and across state lines.
It's real dangerous, but it's the main route through the Pacific Northwest to get all the products down south or back east too.
The closure also impacts local convenience stores and gas stations.
We love the customers, but then we get a lot of people that need the restroom. They're asking for directions. We try to accommodate as many as we can without being rude, because it's difficult with our parking situation.
Both Rambo and Ventura share a similar message. Regardless if you're waiting or on the road, be mindful of those around you.
Basically, just drive slow, and I say stay away from the trucks, stay away from them, and go past them. Don't sit next to them.
Well, Montana's a favorite location of us here at the National Weather Desk. It offers beautiful views and also great opportunities to learn about the weather. Snowpack is a big deal in the region. So let's head over to Mitchell Coombs in Bozeman, Montana, to learn more about this year's snowpack.
If you like winter, you probably love the fun recreation that snow brings. However, snow isn't just for fun. As the snow accumulates, it helps to develop a snowpack in the mountains. Snowpack is a vital resource to many regions of the world, including western Montana. Snowmelt supplies half of the world's fresh water each year, and in our area, that proportion increases upwards to 75%. Much of the region is seeing large precipitation deficits as we close out 2022, and this is leading to moderate to severe drought, especially across southwestern and west central Montana. We need the moisture, and the snowpack that we can build now is going to be very beneficial for our region heading into 2023. Let's break it down with the help of snow water equivalence measurements. The good news is, due to these winter storms, our snowpack is starting off in great shape. All the regions across western Montana are at or above normal on our water content through this time of the year. Our lowest conditions are currently in the upper Clark Fork and Kootenai regions at 99% and 106% of average for this time of the year regarding the water content. Now down in southwestern Montana, we're seeing even better conditions with the Madison, Jefferson, Gallatin, and Bitterroot regions all seeing 125% or greater water content for this time of the year in the snowpack.
All right, let's talk volcanoes. The Mauna Loa eruption is now a tourist attraction in Hawaii. Believe it or not, people are sitting in miles-long traffic for a chance to view the lava flowing against the nighttime sky. The best view of the volcano is from the sky, as we say, and where you can really appreciate just how that lava is flowing down the side of the mountain. Reporter David Culver takes us on an aerial tour.
I assume we'll know when we see the volcano. Yeah, it's just on the kind of the eastern side there. Yeah, about the 1 o'clock position, that is the plume there. What was it like the first time you flew over lava? It was a blast.
It can also be challenging, especially with heavy fog or volcanic smog.
So there you can see the gases from Fissure 3.
Those acidic gases dangerous if the concentration levels are too high.
That's 2,000 to 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 1,000 degrees Celsius. That's molten rock flowing like water.
Which has already crossed one volcano road, power lines and all. A searing slice right through it.
It's incredible the heat you feel as soon as you get close to it. And look at this, the rushing flow, I mean, the river. You see the current of lava.
Darren estimates it's moving 30 to 40 miles per hour.
But this, the source of it all, I mean, there's nothing like this, just viewing from the top.
Just mesmerizing. Mauna Loa is one of the 5 volcanoes that make up Hawaii's Big Island. Tomorrow we'll see how the eruption of Kilauea 4 years ago wiped out an entire community. Well, moments of relief after a deadly landslide in Colombia. A girl was rescued after the earth gave way and overtook a rural road. About 34 people were killed in Pueblo Rico, a town located more than 160 miles southwest of Medellin. At least 6 people were taken in for hospital care, according to Colombia's Disaster Risk Management Department. Hazardous terrain makes traveling dicey in the area where the landslide hit. With this rescue, at least, there's a ray of sunshine in a very sad situation. Well, it's December and it's cold here in Washington, but we got a little bit of a taste of springtime yesterday. While it didn't really show up in the temperatures, it did show up on the cherry trees. Yes, you heard that right. Some of the cherry trees were in bloom over the weekend.
The fall bloom catches people by surprise, and it oftentimes becomes a thing on social media, or we get a lot of questions about it. people expect the National Cherry Blossom Festival. It's in late March or early April every year. And to be walking across the Washington Monument grounds, all of a sudden be confronted by half a dozen or so cherry trees in bloom, it's kind of a secret, a sort of a special thing to find on the mall.
And maybe you're familiar with the most popular ones, the Yoshinos. They flower in the spring during the official Cherry Blossom Festival. But Yoshinos are only one of about a dozen types of cherry trees all along DC's National Mall. It was the autumnal flowering cherry trees that sprouted blossoms. You can see these during bursts of warm weather in November and December. Well, NASA's Orion spacecraft, part of the Artemis 1 mission, has made its closest approach to the moon. The craft sailed within 80 miles of the lunar surface yesterday and comes a week after Orion reached its farthest point in space, 270,000 miles from Earth. The spacecraft is now traveling the 240,000 miles back to Earth, where it is expected to plunge back into the Earth's atmosphere on December 11th. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, it's reasonable to think of raging winds and floods are what make tropical cyclones so dangerous, but there's a lurking danger even after they end. And did you know snow above freezing? Yes, it's possible. We'll tell you more about it when the National Weather Desk returns.
Hi, everyone. I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. We look at the Northeast. 40s and 50s in December. It's a warm one out there today, warm by December at least. The clouds will be increasing, and overall the wet weather to our west, some of that will be getting in here during the afternoon and evening. This is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Today, areas like New York, parts of Vermont, and even Connecticut and New Jersey will get into some wet weather. For most of New England, the wet weather is late today, tonight, and going into the day on Wednesday. Stays mild.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. Appears that we're going to be seeing a few showers developing for the morning commute, but as we head through the day up and down the 95 corridor, as the next weather maker moves in, increasing chances of rain on and off, and that goes through the PM commute and potentially even into Tuesday night. At least temperatures a little bit milder, though. High temperatures getting generally into the 50s up and down the megalopolis. That's the scene here.
Good morning. I'm meteorologist Michael Arenberg. Here's a look at your southeast regional forecast for this Tuesday. We're looking at clouds and showers with a wavy frontal boundary across parts of the Carolinas, Tennessee, northern Georgia, and northern Alabama throughout the daytime. With afternoon high temperatures pretty mild for December out there. Atlanta, Nashville, Raleigh will be in the 60s with low to mid 70s for the Gulf coastal states. We're looking at low 80s in central and south Florida, 82 for Tampa, and 82 the high there in the West Palm area. Make it a great day.
And now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. We'll start here in our nation's capital, where it's cloudy with occasional showers. Today's high is only about 50 gloomy degrees. Not so pretty out there. Now for a look at Dalton, Georgia, where rain could dampen voter turnout for the Senate runoff election. There'll be showers possible, even a few rumbles of thunder. Highs only near about 60 degrees. And how about Lynchburg, Virginia? They're expecting clouds and rain again today. Temperatures low 60s. Kind of a very overcast setup right there. Not a pretty picture. And over in St. Mary's, Pennsylvania, it too is overcast with some occasional rain. Highs in PA there only in the lower 40s. Brr. Well, storm surge, wind, and inland flooding, these are all the hazards related to tropical cyclones. But the University of Arizona recently published a paper naming heat as a hazard often found in the aftermath of a tropical storm. Emily Gracie spoke to the lead author, Zach Guido, about this hidden danger.
What we looked at is, well, what happens in the aftermath of these storms when, after their passage, systems are affected, energy systems are affected. Turns out that a lot of these tropical storms, they're heat pumps. They do bring warmer conditions in the aftermath, some as high as close to 9 degrees Fahrenheit above normal for that period of time.
So you found a pattern. Do you know why this is happening?
The counterclockwise flow of the storms can actually entrain moist and warmer conditions from the south. The storm's duration and its sort of orientation to the point of interest matters here.
Did you see this at all in the 2022 season?
Our data that we analyzed was not 2022, but as it turns out, as we were publishing this paper in the revision process, Hurricane Fiona struck Puerto Rico. 2 to 3 days later, the National Weather Service in Puerto Rico issued a heat advisory.
So what's the goal with this information? What's the next step?
There isn't a lot of work on the co-occurrence of heat and hurricanes. And so, our goal was to explore whether or not there was a relationship. We found a relationship. We're bringing attention to it. We've got further research that's going to explore more of the dynamics associated with this. But really the goal is to make sure that people are aware of the possibility that following the hurricane, all of the attention is going to be on the hurricane for obvious reasons. It's a very catastrophic event, and it can be the case that there are additional impacts related to heat.
Well, Zach told Emily they focused on the Caribbean islands for the study, but are continuing their research in order to reduce the number of casualties due to heat in the days and weeks following a landfalling hurricane. If you want to see the full unedited version of this and all of our interviews, you can log on to our YouTube and search the National Weather Desk. Well, our meteorologists get a lot of questions from viewers, and recently, meteorologist Theron Zahn was asked about snow and temperatures. Let's head to Seattle, Washington to find out what he had to say.
I just got an email from a viewer saying it was 40 degrees at his house and snowing. He wanted to know, how could that be possible? Well, it has everything to do with what's happening 500 to 1,000 feet above his home. Now, the Space Needle, that is about 600 feet tall, to give you an idea of the height we're talking about. Now, in the atmosphere, when it's cold enough to snow above your house, sometimes the downforce of the precipitation is enough to bring that snow level right down to the surface temporarily. So it can be above freezing outside with the snow falling. But that kind of snowfall typically melts away rather quickly once the cell moves on.
Well, recently, Mobile, Alabama has become the tornado warning capital of America. And this might come as a surprise, as Mobile is not located in the well-known Tornado Alley that generally begins in the southern plains and extends northward through the upper Midwest. So what's causing all of the tornado warnings? Well, Mobile-based reporter Darwin Singleton takes a look.
A super outbreak in 2011 saw 360 tornadoes break out in the South in one day, one of them ravaging the Tuscaloosa and Birmingham areas. 64 died, 1,500 were injured, more than $2 billion in damages done. Yes, Alabama gets its share of tornadoes. But 3 years ago, the National Weather Service looked at its records and they found something we found quite eye-opening. That one spot in the state was leading the entire nation in tornado watches and warnings. It's here, just one county north of Mobile. It's Washington County.
Well, Washington County, in fact, is not exactly that different from any of the surrounding counties.
Jeffrey Medlin was a meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Mobile at that time, which made these numbers even more curious. National Weather Service records show that from 2010 to 2020, 122 tornado warnings were issued there. That's an average of about 12 a year, which meant in that 10-year period, Washington County had more tornado watches and warnings issued than anywhere else in America. Why?
The ingredients that create severe weather come together more often just north of this region by a county or two, specifically Washington County.
Between 2010 and 2020, Washington County was a place where strong fronts pushing from the Midwest collided with warmer air streaming in from the Gulf of Mexico, creating a perfect breeding ground for tornadoes. According to the National Weather Service in Mobile, there have been 23 tornado warnings issued for Washington County since our report in 2020, an average of a little more than 7 per year. As for the actual tornadoes on the ground, to their knowledge, there has only been one.
And for many parts of the country, it's now deer season. Hunters have their own methods and ideas of the best way to prepare for a hunt. But does weather play a role when trying to snag a buck? Well, to find out more, let's head over to meteorologist Brad Stover in Charleston, West Virginia.
It's a way of life here in Appalachia, fishing and hunting with your family. That tradition started for Lonnie Sneed back in 1970. He started to go on hunts with his dad at the age of 9.
Actually, I scout deer year-round. I try to keep tabs on them all through the summer. I do hang trail cameras, but my biggest concern is not getting pictures of does. If I get does, then I'm happy because the bucks will come to the does. The biggest key for me is having the wind blow in the right direction. If the wind's not right, I don't care what you wear or what kind of scent killer you put on, the wind is a killer if it's not in your favor. If the wind's blowing from my back down a holler and a buck comes up that holler, 99 out of 100 times he's going to smell me. And he might not run, but he'll circle me.
Besides the wind, which can swirl different directions here in our mountains, does the weather actually make a difference with deer hunting? Sneed believes so.
I think that being hot plays a role in deer moving. I'd like to be about 40 to 45 degrees and quiet.
No matter the conditions, don't let buck fever cloud your judgment. Safety should always be at the top.
I just love to be in the woods. My wife tells me I was born 200 years too late.
Love that. Well, ski season has started, and for many, that's reason to celebrate. And as we head to break, let's move to the skies of Utah for a look at snow in the making. And remember, we have more great drone video on social media. Just search up the National Weather Desk.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Some images to warm you up early this Tuesday morning. We start with a gorgeous sunrise along the Florida Panhandle. Next, we're off to the Bahamas, where the 62-foot tall Nassau Harbor Lighthouse watches over Paradise Island. It was built back in 1817 and is billed as the oldest surviving lighthouse in the West Indies. And we end in South Carolina with a stunning sunrise over Surfside Beach.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on TikTok.
And we love showing off these great images and this great content from our viewers. Let's show you some others. Right now, let's start with these lovely December sun rays as seen from the Blue Ridge Mountains. Man, that's gorgeous. And take a look at this snapshot of ice on the shores of Lake Wisconsin. Yeah, ice shows are quite literally surges of ice that strong currents of wind push ashore and kind of pile up there. Neat picture there. And take a look at this view from a Montana golf course covered in snow. That's going to really mess your handicap there. We'd love to share your weather content on the air, and you can find us on all of your social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Just search for the NatWex Desk or the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back.
Well, a very good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. Scattered light rain across the Ohio Valley. We've got some light snow across the north here. And just kind of staying cloudy and cool for most of us. A lot colder there to the far north as we move ahead into your Wednesday. Look at that, Bismarck, a high temperature of 9 on Wednesday. Still some scattered light rain across the Ohio Valley, but more rain moving in for Thursday across the central Midwest. And temperatures not warming up much.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm meteorologist Joe DiCarlo. We'll look at your forecast today across the region. Starting off once again, overcast, a little bit of drizzle across Texas. We'll turn mostly cloudy for the afternoon. See a lot of clouds across a good portion of the region today. Mild across Texas, highs in the 70s, close to 80 down to the south. A little bit cooler Oklahoma City to Amarillo with temperatures in the 50s and low 60s. Overnight, that fog and drizzle returns. Temperatures only fall into the 60s across Texas, 40s up towards Oklahoma City and Amarillo.
Well, hi there and good Tuesday morning to everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Still a lot of cold air trapped over the Intermountain West. We're thawing out a little bit in the Emerald and the Rose Cities. Seattle and Portland back across the 40-degree mark today, but just 26 for a high around Jackson Hole. 60s around Phoenix, which has had some morning fog of late. You can see a pair of disturbances here dropping down over the Rockies. Some snow dotting the landscape there near the Wasatch.
Well, tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, you have heard of fog, of course, but have you heard of VOG? We'll show you what it is and how it forms. Pretty neat stuff. We thank you for joining us. I'm meteorologist Brian Vandegraff. Make it a great Tuesday.